Gino, my man.
Hi,
Welcome,
man.
Holmes. Thank you for coming, dude. Hey, um, so before anything, man, I want to congratulate you on the win that you told me you had maybe a couple of weeks back.
Yeah,
When was that, dude? Explain that to me, dude. Tell me what happened, dude.
2 weeks. So it was Masters International North America. Um, I took second place, but all the big dogs were out in my division to compete, trying to rack up points for better seeding in Masters Worlds coming up in September.
Mhm. Where was this tournament at?
At the Pyramid at Long Beach State.
Oh wow, that's fucking dope, dude.
Yeah,
That's cool to be able to go in there and
yeah,
compete in a pyramid, dude.
yeah, yeah. And the big takeaway was I was the first American to beat a former Brazilian world champion that nobody's beat before, and he's always ranked either number one or number two since I've been a black belt.
Mhm.
Just to put that in perspective, the guy that gave me a black belt, who's 7 years younger than me, who's been training his whole life, when this guy got his black belt, my coach was a blue belt, which is the second belt that the first promotion you get in jiu-jitsu, you go from white to blue. So my coach was a blue belt when this guy got his black belt and was competing. So he's been a black belt longer than I've been training. He got his black belt in 2000. I didn't start training till 2008.
That's crazy, dude. How was it? Okay, so you said all the big dogs were out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, how was it to to compete against some dude like that, like the way you just described him? You know, like he's had his black belt for this long period of time. Um, he's you said he's never lost to an American in a tournament.
No.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
How did you feel the difference when you were competing against them? You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah. Well, like for me, I mean, I've like I never stopped competing. So as soon as I got my black belt, um, I competed. But there's lower grade tournaments where the competition's not as difficult versus other like world class tournaments where the competition's like it's insane. Like you have guys that he's just one of many guys that I compete against. It's probably not the first time I've done that. Like because I've beat a lot of guys with basically stripes on their black belt. Every stripe represents anywhere from 3 to 5 years of being a black belt, and most of the guys that I go against, since I'm older, I mean, their belts loaded with stripes. So I only have two.
You only have two
Yeah,
stripes.
because I got my black belt, I think, in 2016. So
Who determines the stripe? Who determines when you get a stripe?
time, time, and also your instructor. But when it gets to black belt, as long as you're still actively training, it just there's no more belts to get. There is, but it's not till way later on. I want to say after you have your black belt, I think it's like 30 years or something like that. There's another belt after that, and then 50 years, there's another belt after that.
I heard there's like a red belt.
Yeah. So it goes uh, coral belt, black belt, coral belt, which is black and red, and then red belt. That's I think I want to say 50 years or 40 years, something like that. I don't even know. I should know these things, but I'm not even close to that.
Have you ever seen one of those in real life?
Yeah, I've met a few. I've rolled with a few. They're old. I mean, like, but dude, they're like they grab a hold of you, and they know what's up, dude. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And like I
you're
said,
scared.
I guess that's what you say?
You're scared when they grab you. You're like, oh,
Dude, right now, when you were fucking grabbing me right now, showing my
yeah,
kid, I was like, oh, what the fuck? I felt like I was getting, like, I felt you were, you know what I'm saying? You were showing my boy how to do things, like using me an example. Hey, but I could feel it, man. I could
yeah.
feel like being vulnerable. I was like, oh fuck, fucking Gino could easily. I felt like when you had your legs wrapped around my leg, I was like, and your arms up here, I felt you could have went.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the whole point. It's like when you see people like that don't know, they're like, just get up, just get up. It's like, yeah, that's kind of impossible.
I'm low key one of those dudes, right?
Yeah,
But fucking right now, when we did this, I felt it.
yeah.
I was like, holy shit! I felt your strength, dude. I was like, fucking Gino's gonna fucking, he could put me to sleep if he wanted me to. Hey, that's how. Hey, when you started like squeeze a little bit. I went, hey, what the fuck?
Yeah. Better
But
watch out for your son, dude. He's gonna sneak up on you and put you
he
out.
already fucking tries to. He already tries to, and he's fucking strong. When you were showing him, what is this called? The Gable.
The that's the gable grip. So that's the palm to palm mata leon.
Palm to palm, Mate Leon.
If you see in MMA, you'll see a lot of guys do that choke because it's easier to do with the gloves on. For self defense, when you have this grip, because you're not always able to do this, or the guy's
Like
grabbing your hand.
thumb over thumb or like
Yeah.
this.
So even like in a self defense situation, let's say you can't get a hold of your
Oh shit,
hand,
that's a lock,
you
dude.
grab onto your sleeve. You grab onto the other guy's, like basically the material. If he's wearing a shirt, you pull it over your wrist and you use it the same. There's just that grip's a lot more versatile. It comes from like the self defense aspect of jiu-jitsu.
You said I forget what term you used, but you were like, hey, look it, you put this right here, and you use it for leverage. Your elbow. You,
Yeah.
and I just imagined him doing that shit to me, dog. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh man,
He's going
now I'm
to.
gonna have to learn how to get out of this, dude.
He's going to.
Man, I've always, man, it's something that I need to just fucking do, and that's
You don't need, I mean, for
do some
you,
type of training. You know what I mean?
especially for your background and what you do for a living, it's important, man.
Yeah,
Even any man, just even having a family, you should know how to do that.
because
To
I do this. I work out. I lift weights. Um, I hit my bag. I hit a bag. I hit the bag. I hit the bag. But I I need to evolve with, I guess, self defense. If that's what self defense or just maybe.
yeah.
And I've gotten real into like meditation. I've gotten real into like looking. I going in,
Hmm.
and I think that jujitsu or some type of martial art will help me with that, right? Do you feel like it's like a almost like a
100%.
like a
I mean, the reason I started training is just because my job is very high stress level. Um, you know, not even counting the job of being a dad and having three kids. I don't have to tell you.
hmm,
Um, my youngest uh, child, my son, he's autistic, and that was it. From the get go. It was a challenge for my wife and I because he had developmental delays. He was behind in a lot, and it just really. My wife's a stay-at-home mom, and a lot of it fell on her.
hmm,
And I used training as an outlet because honestly, as much as I wanted to be hands on with my son, at that point, I really couldn't because I knew that I didn't have the patience.
hmm,
At that point, I wasn't the best type of man for that situation to be the to do the best job or do right by my son. So I used training, and I let my wife, and I supported my wife from behind the scenes as much as I possibly could, and I plugged in whenever she needed me.
hmm.
But um, yeah, that's really what really led me to training was I knew that I wanted my girls to do this, and at 4.5 and 7, um, we put them in that right when my son was born. Um, and yeah, I was taking them to practice, and I come from a background. I wrestled, I boxed, I did Muay Thai.
You
Um,
did a lot, dude. I remember
yeah,
the house in Monterey Park. It was an empty room, and you had a punching bag in the fucking room.
yeah,
But you've always been one of those guys, dog. Like getting down, fighting, dude,
yeah,
fighting, and it's like you focused that energy, you focused what you already had inside of you on this,
yeah,
and you're fucking awesome at it.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
It's just who you are, dude.
and it's
And that's
weird.
fun. That's why I fucking love you, dog.
I love
You
you
know what I'm
too,
saying?
man.
And like, and that's why, hey, that's why you're here. That's why, um, my son, when I took him to watch you compete, and he saw you win, and he saw you with that gold medal, right? he thought he saw a fucking superhero, dude. He thought he was in the presence of a fucking superhero, and I was like, he is,
Yeah,
he is, Papa. That's exactly what he is, dude. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, um and so yeah, hey, well, thank you for being that type of a man. Straight up,
yeah.
dog. Inspires me too, man. You know what I mean?
I wasn't. I
Big
mean,
time.
I can honestly tell you, I wasn't that type of man, and jujitsu made me that type of person. Because, like I said, I mean, the way I found jujitsu was I knew that I didn't know these things, and I wanted to put just like you. I wanted to put my kids in because I knew how valuable it was, especially being women and knowing that one day that 80% of the people out there are going to be bigger and stronger than them. So I wanted them to know how to defend themselves if somebody freaking tries to hurt them, assault them, whatever. And they were there for they trained at one place and then they went somewhere else about 2 months later, and the instructor there, and he's like, hey, he's like, he's like, tell you like to work out. Yeah, he's like, hey, you told me you used to wrestle, you used to box and stuff. It's like, why don't you try it? He's like, it's free, your kids train here. It's like, just come for a month. And yeah, within 2 weeks, like after the first 2 weeks, I was hooked. And that,
Fucking the rest is
yeah,
history.
and that was that. Yeah, and I
Damn,
did
dude.
the most. My kids still talk about it, like they because it was something that I did push on them at some point, but um, when they're older, I know that they're going to appreciate it because it's something that the three of us did for like a decade
Mhm.
together. I mean, we competed, we trained together, I coached them. My oldest daughter, I coached her all through high school, like through her wrestling career, because she stopped jujitsu once high school started, and she focused on wrestling.
And she fucking whooped some ass too, right?
Yeah, she did really well. Um, she just didn't want to do it in college. She said, "Dad, I don't want to make weight 4 years in a row, and I just don't want to do that anymore. I'm tired. I've been doing this since I was 7, and like I'm done." Well,
For now,
yeah,
you never know what's gonna happen down the road.
yeah. She talks about it. I mean, I think she'll eventually find her way back to the mat. She did for a little bit when she was living up north. Um, she went and trained a little bit without me asking her or anything. I got her a gi, and that was that. And she liked it. So but it has at this point it has to be her own personal choice.
Right,
So she's 21 now, and it's a different animal.
dude. I like what you said when you said that you push you push them right,
Hmm.
and they might not understand now, right?
Yeah.
They might not appreciate it now,
Hmm.
but in the future, like with my kids, like me and Dar, we talk about them, and she says, "Do these guys? Do they realize how much I love them?" Right? And I say, my answer to that, which I know, is they're never going to understand until they have kids,
Yeah.
because that's how that like I don't understand how much my parents. I don't understand how much my parents love me until I had a kid, and that's I think that your daughters won't. Well, hopefully they get it earlier, but like you know,
Well, like my mom passed away, and there's so many times I can honestly say, and in family, in business, in everyday life decisions, that I even caught myself dialing the phone to call her. She's not here
whew,
anymore.
that's fucking dude.
Because my mom like raised me to be a good and fair man, and
What number are you dialing? Are you dialing the Pat and Whittier?
nah, just her cell phone. But I mean, my mom, was my ultimate counsel because she was the most impartial person that I knew. And she raised me to be that way. And there's life skills that I have now where, like for example, I'll pick up the phone, I want to dial her, and I can't, obviously. But when I really sit back and think about it, like, I know what she would have told me. Like,
Right.
I know if I really am honest with myself, I
Mm.
say, yeah, no matter what I want, like that's indifferent to the situation. But I'm like, yeah, my mom would tell me to do this because as much as I don't want to do that, this is what my mom would tell me to do
Mhm.
because I knew. And that's like, to me, that's invaluable. And that goes with everything. Like, there's going to be one day where your son, somebody's going to try and take his shit, or, he's going to be in a scrap or something and he's going to choke somebody and he's going to be like, damn, I'm glad my dad made me do that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And those, to me, I mean, I don't, my wife and I talk about this all the time, and it's like, there's times where I've never, my brain operates different. And I think as men, we do that, but even me more so than I see most. I wish I could be sometimes more of a nurturer and more uh, of that kind of dad. But my job has always been to make sure that my children can survive in every situation and thrive,
Mm.
especially with the way you see the world going right now. There's a lack of solid people that are accountable, people that have rectitude, which is moral integrity. um, there's a lack of that, and I feel that if I can raise my kids, the way, not only the way that I was taught by my mom and my dad, but also input what I've learned through training, I think my kids are just, they're going to just dominate, like, in life, period, because nobody's taking the time to do that,
Mhm.
and I understand your feelings have a certain, they have a certain importance in life, they have a certain place, but at the same time, so does doing. um,
What do you mean? So is doing
like
like
I,
taking action.
yeah, just like taking action and actually being assertive, and like there's nothing wrong with being sad while you do those things, but at the end of the day, like, your responsibilities never end. And I think that's something that I learned early on. I definitely learned in our time, in high school playing sports with football. It's like, it doesn't matter what you're going through, it doesn't matter if you're hurt, it doesn't matter how you feel, it doesn't matter what you have going off the field, it doesn't matter. Like, you have a job to do and you have to do it, and everybody's counting on you to do it, and it's not gonna, the whole world isn't gonna stop because you're going through shit. Like,
Hmm.
no, at the end of the day, nobody's gonna care, and it's your job to care and be responsible for your own well-being, but at the same time, you have to be able to still execute while going through a lot of things.
All the pressure's on.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, like, the way I raised my kids from when they were small is to shove that shit down. And I know that's not right. I know maybe that's not the best way, but my wife really is the balance in that. My wife's the person that, that's the nurturer. My wife's the person that, how are you feeling, Miha? How you doing?
Hmm.
You know, but she's still very much of a doer. She's way more of a balance than I am. Me, I'm like, you're not gonna know anything's bothering me until it breaks.
Right.
You know, because I feel as men, that's how a lot of us are built.
Right.
It doesn't, but what I've learned over time, and even with, just maybe it's getting older, but being more honest, learning to be more honest. There's no other position you can be more honest with yourself than when another man's freaking choking you and you don't want to be choked.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, you got to be honest with yourself. Yeah, I fucked up there. Yeah, I fucked up a long time ago to get where I'm at. And, or, oh, hey, my mentally I wasn't here and I paid the price today at
Right.
practice, like those things. So that translated into life so much for me because it just took off the layers of bravado, of false pride, of ego, of it. It stripped away all of that, and it forces you to do a self-assessment and be honest with yourself on a daily basis.
Mm.
So for me, it's just like, that's like for you, example, that's something that I've always admired about you. You've always been able to have that mindset and to do that, like, like, be impartial and look at the situation and try to go forward with the best intention, and like you said, let's see what happens.
Okay, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's fucking just keep going, keep doing it, dude. And that's one of the reasons I heard. I've heard people talk about how humbling jujitsu is.
Mm.
How humbling that is. And I think everybody needs a piece of humble pie in their life. Whether you think you do or you don't. And that's another reason why I want to maybe go in that direction. But
Yeah.
but yeah, dude, you have to keep moving forward. You know what I'm saying? When shit's hard, when the pressure's on, and you don't you don't feel as if maybe you're going to be successful with this whatever task you have to perform because you have other shit that you're dealing with. You know,
Yeah.
I've always found I've always found a way to make the action what I have to the responsibility of getting shit done. If I'm going through something in my mind, if I'm just going through something having a hard day, I try to find peace in the action that needs to be accomplished. Like I
Yeah.
use that as a therapy.
Yeah.
Like I focus on that to get my mind off of that,
Yeah.
and that's something, and that's something that I've used throughout my life. But recently, dude, I've been like doing a lot of, like I said, I've been going in, like, and trying to learn as much as I can about who I am, not just who I am, but like who I am. Like,
Not who you need to be, who you are.
yeah, like
Yeah.
like I'm a, you know, dude, I'm a spirit. I'm a spirit with the body, not a body with the spirit. You
Yeah.
know, and I feel as if I'm capable. All of us humans are capable of a lot more than what we think. You know, and I've been trying to unlock that, tap into that, and just make the decision to be the only force that determines my day.
Hmm.
You know, like, because shit's gonna happen, and whatever happens, I have the choice to interpret that as being good or bad. And I have made it a point, especially now with maybe the past year, to find the positive in everything that happens. There might be a negative, some bullshit that goes down. All right, well, I might not know now what the reason for that happening. I might know maybe next year. I might know tomorrow. I might know a week from now. But there's a positive for this happening.
Hmm.
And if it's not there, I hope one day I will see it. This is just talking in general. But my whole outlook now in life is that I am the only force that determines my experience in this world, and I choose to have a positive experience. I choose to have a positive perspective. I choose to change my perspective if I need to. Um, I just do my best to fucking to not let people or situations bring me down, dude. Because then, one thing leads to another. One thing, good luck is contagious, but bad luck is also contagious.
For
It's all
sure.
about your state of mind.
Perspective.
Yeah, perspective. And it's crazy, dude. Since I've been on this, one thing after another, good things have been happening. Boom, 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 boom. So I believe in it. I believe in attitude, man. Positive mental attitude, bro.
For sure.
And that's I'm trying to instill that in my children. I talk to them in the mornings and I tell them, hey, today's going to be a good day no matter what. No matter what, it's going to be a good day, because you know what? You are in charge of your day, fellas. This is your day today. Nobody can change your day. You just got to think that it's going to be a good day. I try to talk to them like that, man.
Yeah.
At nighttime, I tell them, talk to them about imagination. I talk to them about imagining them being happy in their mind. Imagine yourself smiling, being happy. Think about the things that you want, and that if even if it's a toy, think about the toy that you want. Imagine yourself holding that toy. How happy it is to be holding that toy. I'm trying to teach them to visualize their I guess their accomplished goals in their mind, because everything. Dude, I was listening to this one guy talk, man. What the hell is his name? You know who Bob Proctor is?
Mm-mm.
Bob Proctor, dog. So he talks a lot about this. And he said something that made a lot of sense. He said that everything that has been created twice. Like the Wright brothers, when they figured out how to fly, they first imagined it, right? They had to
Mm-hmm.
imagine it first, right?
Mm-hmm.
They put it on paper and then they created it. So the first time that it was created in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was created in their mind, and then they created it out here. They built it. Tesla, um, Tesla built. I don't know what Tesla built, man. Ugh. But they asked him, "Hey, how did are you happy with the way? Are you happy with the way that it ended up?" And he said, "It ended up just the way I imagined it." You know, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm on right now, dude. I'm just trying to have a positive perspective on life because, like you said, the world is fucking bananas. Um, and I try not to get caught up in the negativity that's being just pushed pushed down our throat by the fucking news, dude. I don't
Yep.
even watch TV, dog. Do you watch TV?
No, I don't. I if I do, it's to watch some nothing box bullshit show that I'm just checking out, and I'm there to dumb down my day and just stop thinking.
Right.
That's really
Yeah, dude.
so like yeah, like what you said. I mean, for me, like you're saying, like you're in control of your day. And some people are very introspective about that. They're like, why does everything bad happen to me? Why does this happen to me? Why is that person catch all the breaks and it's always me, me, me? I mean, like what helps me with that, and at least in my in my pack, my family, like is faith in God, like knowing that whatever happens today, it's part of God's plan,
Mm-hmm.
and I have faith in his plan. Either you do or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not for me to say. I'm just speaking for myself. As far as me, like I'm gonna follow God's plan for me because He's never steered me wrong. Even when I've thought I was in control, and uh, I thought that things were like so out of balance and just totally like just I was losing everything. It all made like it all made a full circle, and it turned out okay. And there's a reason, because that's you know I think when you don't pay attention to that, then you really miss the lessons you were supposed to learn from those situations.
And God, he, God doesn't want you to fail, right? God wants you to be successful,
Ultimately, yeah,
right?
but God has to pull your chain, especially men, especially people like you or me, like dudes that are hard, dudes that have layers upon layers of, whatever it is from childhood, or like there's a way, he can only get to you in certain ways sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and it's up to you to learn from it. And
Right.
the why what I found, you know and I don't know, I mean, I'm gonna ask him someday. But like what I found is the wiser you are and the more you're able to learn, and like any problem, like take what you learned from that situation, whether it was a good or bad experience, and apply it to the next situation. Like your life's going to be a lot easier that way, and you're going to be a much more pleasant person to be around, because that's ultimately like what's important. It's like is that you leave this earth, like there's nothing more important than being loved, in my opinion.
Mm.
That's
Love,
legacy.
love and to be loved.
Yeah, to be missed, to be loved. Like I think about my mom. My mom's missed by everybody,
Mm.
and I think about other people that I know that passed away, and it's like, dude, nobody misses that guy. He was a fucking asshole. Yeah, yeah. Like it's true. I don't want to be that guy. Do you want to be that guy?
Hell no.
No, no, no. You don't. Like, and I'm talking about people that I know that are very, very, very well off, and their parents, or their, I mean, I can just rattle off three names off the top of my head that I won't,
Yeah.
of dads that left their kids everything set up for life,
Uh-huh.
but they don't really miss them. That they miss the thought of having a dad, and they miss the thought of but they don't miss like the situations and everything, like as a whole. And it's
Mhm.
like None of us are perfect. I'm a dude. I'll admit right here and there. I'm a sinner. I'm an asshole. I'm a very imperfect man. You know, I go about doing things wrong all the time, and I still get it wrong. But you know, my goal is before I die is that the people closest to me know that I love them and that I missed, really. Like
Mhm.
I missed. And if I can make their life a little easier by leaving behind a legacy, whether it be, you know, material things, but on top of that, a legacy, just making them different, just making them like my mom does to me now that she's gone. It's like she challenges me in my mind every day to be a good person, to do
Mhm.
things different, to do things right, because that was her legacy she left behind. And that's the man that she raised in me, is to be that way,
Mhm.
you know? And if I can be that for my kids or my wife, if she's still here, you know, anyone else, my friends, my family, and if they could just draw on one positive thing about me, then to me, that's success.
You know, dude, like my mother and father, I remember growing up, they said that, how did it go? What did they say? That they wanted to teach me so that when they weren't around, I was still going to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When they're like, and I think that with my kids, like I try to teach them what's right from wrong so that when they go to school, even something simple as that, when they're away from me and they're at school, they they know what right and wrong is. They'll hear my voice in the back of their head saying, "Hey, don't do this," or "Hey, that's something that you should do." Right? Like I hear like you say, your mother challenges you every day. Like my mom and dad, like I still use them as reference when it comes to hard shit, you know, or yeah. I guess the lessons that I learned from them when I was younger, they are still important now. You
100%.
know?
And the way that you know that is when you and we still are guilty of it, you know, when you know what the right thing is to do and you do whatever the fuck you want anyways, you know? There's a feeling in your heart where you're like, yeah, that I know this is fucked up and I know it's probably not going to turn out right, but I'm going to do it anyways,
Yeah,
you know?
I'm
And
gonna take the shot. I'm gonna
yeah,
take a shot. I'm gonna give it a shot.
and and um and most of the time when you know it's wrong, it's wrong. My mom told me that. She said, if it feels wrong, it's wrong. You know it's wrong. And I'm not, and she would tell me, and I'm not telling you that because you shouldn't, you know, trust yourself. It's just that the way that you're raised, you know, you have a faith-based upbringing. You know, I try to teach you to be as fair as possible, but if you know it's wrong and it's going against what is installed, you know, in your heart and what's instilled in your character, then you know it's probably wrong because, you know, you weren't raised by wolves, basically.
I That's intuition, right?
Yeah.
That's our intuition.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to really pay attention to our intuition more than what we usually do, because like that's our inner voice. And some would say it could be God. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that we need to trust that intuition more.
Yeah.
What you feel, with your gut, because you're us. We want to do it. People, humans. We have, like I said, I feel as if we have more to us than just what we are. We have like intuition. Intuition is a power that we possess, and we need to utilize that power. And so I think that we need to, as just a whole, listen to
Yeah.
our intuition more.
Yeah. And I mean, doing that to me is honoring, not only honoring God because he's the ultimate authority. I mean, like, as far as that goes and what's right and wrong, I think, but honoring the people that took the time to instill good values
Yes,
in us.
dude.
It's like every time you go against that, you go against those people and you go against their hard work. And that's the way I look at it. Like, because honestly, man, my wife, I mean, she's a great person. She's like, she's the best person that I know spiritually and um, just spiritually and just as a good person, like being able to determine right and wrong. Um, you know, when I go to sleep at night, I think about her. When I wake up, I think about her, and I know God, like however long it was, like she's the one that he created. He created her exactly for me
That's
because
fucking deep, dude.
yeah, because when I make decisions, you know, and I'm not going to say that I don't because we all do that. I think about that. I think about she's right up there. Like, I'm like, damn. My wife's put so much time and energy and love and nurturing and to deal with all my shit I brought to the table and love me anyways. And for the person that she is, it's like, how am I gonna just go and like do her dirty like that,
Mm-hmm.
Or like that's it's just shitting on that work.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with like my mom or same thing with my dad. And but ultimately that starts with God. It's like I tell my kids all the time, like, where's God in your decisions? You have to ask yourself that at every turn, you know, where's God in your decisions? Okay. That box is checked. Where's your parents in that decision? Is that the way I raised you?
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately it comes down to you. Do you think this is right and wrong? You gotta. We used to play. It's funny because my kids, and I hope they do it with their kids. We, when they first started going to school, we were fortunate enough to be able to. They went to a school where it was walking distance, so it was about a 15-minute walk to school, maybe less. But we would go. I would purposely like go slow, so uh, most mornings when I wasn't running late like I always am, but we would walk and I'd give them scenarios since they were small, like, and I say, okay, we're gonna play a game. It's called right or wrong. Okay, this happens. You tell me what's the right decision and what's the wrong decision, and I'd make them tell me both.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't tell them which one do you want to pick. I just tell them what do you think's the right decision, so I can kind of gut check them and see where they're at morally, where their moral compass
That's pretty
is,
good, dude.
and
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna
yeah,
give that a shot.
yeah, and it's our job. It was my job as a parent, and I still do this. I'm like, okay. And if their answer was off base, I'd be like, no, Miha, this is like why. This is why you should do this or you shouldn't do that, and this is just my opinion. But from my experience, this is probably going to be the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they did, you know, if they did make the right decision, I would say that all the time. And the other thing too that I repeat it to them every chance I get. So the right decision is usually the hardest one. The easiest road and the easiest decision to go to and the easiest path to go down is usually not the one you're supposed to be on. Because I mean, I honestly believe that God made me your dad because he wants you to do difficult things and accomplish difficult stuff, not just do whatever you feel and see where you end up, because that's not a life. That's living. That's not actually like being. That's just or that's being and that's not living. And it all boils down to purpose, man. I mean, like I think,
Mm-hmm.
you and me, our age now, I mean, there's so many guys that are our age that they have zero purpose. They're just kind of milling through life. There's guys that, they don't work out like you do. They don't pay attention to their health. They're just there,
Right.
and some of them are in such deep holes that they feel that there's no way out, you know. And yeah, I don't want to be like that.
Me either.
I to the day I die, till they throw dirt on me, I want to be doing something positive to better myself
Yeah, man.
and better the people around me. More importantly, like my kids joke all the time. Yeah, I'm gonna bring my kids to Grandpa's house to freaking to train.
Good.
I'm like,
Yeah, as you
yeah.
should.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like,
I'm glad you
I'm
get
like,
that.
I'm like, they're gonna do that whether you know or not. You're gonna need a babysitter sometime. Don't be
Ah,
surprised if
you get
they
choked
come
out.
home they come home choking people. But yeah, yeah, I think I see the most, I see the people that I care about in my life that are the most unhappy, And I honestly believe that's what it is. They just lack purpose.
Yeah.
And when you have no purpose, you have no drive. And when you have no drive, you have no vision. And when those things are gone, then, you're just living for, the next little, like, whatever's in front of you. And you start settling and compromising your integrity for nothing, you know? And then basically, like, the last thing that I ever want, because I've seen this in many men, is for someone to say, "Man, what happened to you, dude? You used to be great. I remember you, and we were young. You're freaking, dude. You're a sidewalk cracking freaking beast. And look at you now, dude. You barely get out of the car. Probably need a cane. Can't walk up a flight of stairs. You know, you're doing what? Like no
You're not
offense,
doing what?
like you're like, yeah, like, no offense, that you're freaking living off the government, bro. Like, really? Like that? You had so much more potential than that.
Potential, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, fucking one. So David Goggins, dude, I was watching a video of David Goggins, and this made a big impact on me. He said what his biggest fear is. He said my biggest fear is going to heaven, right? And God going, David Goggins, and just going through this huge list, boom, 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 right? Of accomplishments. And then him saying, hey, that's not me. I didn't do any of those. And he's like, no, that's what you could have been. And that right there, that really like it put things into perspective for me,
Yeah, that's deep.
you know?
Yeah.
And so like every day, every morning, I give thanks for being alive and having the opportunity to strive for I strive to reach my full potential, dude. Like, to be the best version of myself that I could possibly can, and every role that I play, every hat that I wear, and because I believe the better I am, the better I am, the better everybody else around, the better everyone else around me will be,
Hmm.
right? You know, two examples. When you're on a plane and the stewardess, she's giving you instructions on what to do if the plane starts to go down. And one thing they tell you is, well, if the plane's going down, oxygen masks are going to drop, right? Don't put the oxygen mask on your kid first or the person next to you first, because if you put that on them first, you might lose the opportunity to put it on yourself, and you might pass out, and then you can't do anything for anybody. So what you do is you get that, you put it on yourself first, and you make sure that you're good, and then you could just start going to work and start helping everybody else out. Boom, your kid, boom, right? And so that's another thing that, like I said, the better off that I am, the better off everybody around me will be. And then another example is you can't get anything from an empty glass. In order to really, really, in order to share, blah, 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 and to give from your cup, from your glass needs to be as full as possible. And the fuller
Yeah.
it is, the more you could give, dog.
Yeah.
And I believe that, man.
Yeah. That's 100% true, man.
I believe that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's just,
And the older we get, dude, man, fuck, hey, the sands of time for us are running low, dog.
yeah.
And I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
Time waits for no
Running
man.
out of time, dude.
Time waits for no
like
man.
like like to quote David Goggins is something that he said that I put in a lot of my messaging when I speak to people, and I say, dude, like, he says, life is the ultimate competitor. He's the ultimate opponent. He doesn't stop for anyone. He'll use all your weaknesses. He knows all your tricks. You know, he he knows how to use the things that you fear the most against you. And he's out there every single day, just like trying to derail you.
And
That's what it is, and that's what I honestly think that's what time is. Time it's like an open software for you to write. Like, if you're constantly reaffirming, your insecurities, your fears, your past failures, those are going to manifest in your life,
yeah, man.
and they just get worse. It's like, that's just the way it is. And life's not going to wait for you. I'm not going to wait for you to unfuck yourself. It's just there, you're going to end up being like just basically being the victim of your own circumstances that you created. It's like we live in the greatest country in the history of civilization.
Mhm.
Okay, there's no reason why everybody can't be the best version of themselves if they really want to.
Yeah, man.
And it's not easy. It's very complicated. It's hard. There's a million and one excuses of why not. But dude, let's be real. There's no. We can drive from here to the beach, and even the homeless people are not sitting there, sitting there on a dirt floor with nothing to eat for, for weeks on end because there just isn't anything. Uh, they're not living somewhere where there's zero running water. Man, there's a bed for them to sleep, and there's a job for them to be had. There's training program. There's everything under the sun for them if they just want to do things in a manner where it's constructive,
Hmm.
you know. And in other countries, it's just that's not the case, man. You're
Oh, man.
born into a certain life, a certain family, you're fucked from the beginning, and there's no getting out of it.
Hmm.
It's sad to say, but there's a lot of there's no manifest destiny.
Hmm.
There's no, I mean, whether we choose to speak on that or not, I mean, like, there's a reason why we're here. We're here because, like, the people from the country of origin that make up our DNA, like, they were those people, and there was no opportunity, and they came here for a better life. Like, a lot of people don't think about that from the beginning. Like, when I really sit down and I think about things, I'm like, damn, my ancestors were some gangsters, dude. They came here with nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing but a dream and the knowledge that there was work here
And the will.
and the will. Like, and everybody like, and I feel as a society, not to go too much in the weeds, but as a society in America, like, we lose sight of that shit. We lose sight of the fact that why are Americans so freaking rowdy, and why are they so ornery, and why are they so, they want to do things their own way? Why is the rest of the world trying to pacify Americans to be like everybody else? It's because we're not like anybody else.
Mm-mm.
There's no place like this on earth. There hasn't been ever in history. You know, you take your grandma, your great grandma, however many generations, my family, like, everybody came here with nothing. Everybody came here with nothing to make something of themselves. And, like, what kind of balls it takes to do that, and, like, courage to do that. Like, you I don't care who you are. You go to France, you go back three generate for the people that are truly French, you go back 3 4 generations. Like, they go all the way back. Their society's super old. There's the haves and the have nots. There's only
Mm-hmm.
the super rich and the super poor, and nobody in the middle. And that's how they've lived, and they've been genetically programmed. My opinion, they've been genetically programmed to accept that. And here, it's those people came here because that wasn't the case,
Mm-hmm.
because they could be, the Irish that came here during the potato famine. There was no food here. There was no food in their homeland. They had no choice but to come here.
Mm-hmm.
But they came here. The Puritans, the people that settled this country, before we ever had a constitution or anything, the founders of the colonies and stuff, they came here because, the reason this place got colonized in the first place is because of, religious persecution. Puritans didn't want to play by the rules of the Church of England, and, you know um, but that's a whole other conversation. But way before we had, the 13 colonies, like, that happened way before. And
Mm-hmm.
they were, they cut out a piece of land. They coexisted with the natives. I mean, like, it to sit. I don't think most people think about that. Like, what the journey. We talk a lot about the journey of coming from a country and crossing the border. What about freaking being on a boat for 3 months with nothing to eat? Just with the promise of that there's a better life,
Yeah.
maybe.
Maybe.
And you might
Yeah.
live, you might die, but hey, that's honestly what I think the American spirit is. Like, you go into everything, and my mentality, what it is to be American. is like you go into every situation not knowing how things are going to turn out,
Hmm.
but you know that it could possibly be a lot better than where you're at right now. And that's how I try to live every day, because like we never know if tomorrow's promised, but I do know that we live in a place where there's constant opportunity that's being squandered by you, by me, by everybody. And that's honestly why I love this country so much, because I look at, I'm one generation removed from from illegal immigrants. I'm two generations removed from my dad's side from immigrating here with nothing. Like my family would have never gotten citizenship if they didn't help with the war effort, like on three different theaters,
Hmm.
because that's just the way it was, and they didn't question it. Now you have people that they think that it's unfortunate, but you have people coming here that they don't love this country. They think that we owe them something because we went and did wrong in their country of origin, so now they're coming to collect. No, it doesn't work that way. Or like we don't have to even go that far. People in our own community, us being Mexican American, Mexicanos growing up in East LA, having roots there we still do, like, you know, the whole mechista movement, stolen land. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, I think you misspelled conquered. Yeah, it's like we already fought that battle and you lost, and that's it. Whether it
Yeah,
was fair or not, it's like it is what it is. I
it's
like
been
having
happening since the beginning of time.
Exactly. And I like having a cell phone, paved roads, and my car. I don't want to live in a mud hut, and I don't want to like follow buffalo to eat. I think this is a better way of life.
And it's a cycle.
Yep.
Hey man, fucking nations rise and fall every day, dude.
Yep.
Dude, you said something a little while ago that fucking was really cool. You were talking about the people who came here with just the promise, not even a promise, the possibility of living a better life, right? And how they came down here and they made it happen. And you said that, and then you said how people are always trying to calm down Americans because of how we are, but we are we are who we are because of who our ancestors are.
100%. It's
And
genetic.
dude, and like it's like
And anybody you choose to make a family with, guess what? Their family was and
they
I don't care if
fucking
they're
got it
white.
too. Yeah.
I don't care if they're white. I don't care. They what ancestry. No matter what, their family was shit in their country of origin, and they came here because of the opportunity and the amount of I mean, that's genetic, dude. That basically like, and it's been proven there's certain genes of people that are independent thinkers and fighters and like have that mentality to think that way. It's genetic. Like
Right.
so all of those people from all over the world,
Yes,
and still
that's what I'm getting at.
they're coming here,
Yeah, that's what I'm
and
getting at.
and that's us as a nation.
Right.
But now it's changing a little bit. Now people are just coming, to use a Spanish word, because they're presumidos. They just want to see what they can get,
Ah,
and like if it doesn't work out, and we've already seen it with I would say 2 to 3 waves of Mexicanos that have came here, that they come here, they work, and if it doesn't work out, they just go back to Mexico.
mm,
That wasn't an option for my family that came here.
mm,
It's like, no, we're coming here. We're laying, like my grandma, she came here, she paid 50 cents to cross the border. Um, her first, her first job, the first thing she wanted to do was learn English. You know why? Because there was no like nothing was in Spanish. Everything was written in English,
mhm,
and you would get passed by. Like she made it a point. She goes, "I want to learn to speak English, and I want to get my citizenship." And she came here. She came here actually like in her late, I want to say in her late 20s. Like she came here older from Mexico City, and she said that was the most important thing. And when I got here and I found out that I could work, and like within 10 years of being here she owned a home. I mean, like, she goes, that would have never happened where I was at
right.
all. And even though her family, like, they had property and she wanted to make her own way, so she came here, dude, by herself. Like just imagine, like that's DNA that runs in my veins.
It takes
It's
a lot
like
of balls to do that, dude.
huge.
Yeah.
Would you do that? I would think
I
twice.
don't
Dude,
fucking, yeah,
like,
exactly.
like I look at it like this. I was talking to a couple of my buddies that are combat veterans, and and I said, dude, would you, without any support from your government, if things got bad here, would you go settle in freaking Kuwait or like the Middle East or somewhere like that and try to make a life for yourself with nothing, with no money, with no resources? They're like, no, dude, that's scary. I wouldn't do that. The only reason I was there is because freaking I was taken care of. We had everything we needed, and we were there to fight or like peacekeep or whatever it is. I said, well, that's what it's like immigrating here. I think for a lot of people, they come here with nothing.
Mhm. What is there's a saying that it's like the best motivator is necessity or something like that. Like the best motivator is, like basically having your back to the wall and not having any other choice.
For sure,
you know
for
that'll
sure.
really get you moving, get you going. you know and what it takes, what it took to be successful in that situation, those people married, had kids, boom, 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 till it got to us and it got to our kids, and we have those genes in us. It's like evolution, right? Like only the strong survive type of a thing. You know what I mean? And those are the only ones who were able to be successful, were the strong. And they had something in them, some quality, whether it be smart, whether it be their mind, it was their will.
They're
It,
creative.
yes, they had
They had
something, dog,
they had a skill, something individual like set them aside from everybody else.
and they passed that on to us.
Yeah,
And I think that that's really cool.
yeah,
Honor your ancestors,
yeah.
honor
And
your
and,
bloodline.
and on that note, there's a big, I feel a big narrative being pushed in this country to steer us away from that. To say, hey, everybody has to go to college. And granted, my kids are going to college either way, but I'm going to support them and help them to fulfill their true purpose in life. And it might be because I know so many people, that some of the people that I respect the most, that I have seen be most successful financially, spiritually, they're people that went to college for something totally different than what they're doing, and what their why is to get up every morning and work hard,
Mhm.
and what they're a master of now.
Mhm.
It's totally different.
Yeah,
But
man.
I know one thing: the the Meritus educational system, all that says is that you were able to deal with someone's shit for freaking 4 or 5 years and accumulate and have delayed gratification, and at the end of the day finish something.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's what I tell my kids: you may never use this, you may use some of it, you may learn, if you can apply one or two things to your life, going forward, then this is time well served. But what else would you be doing? But college isn't for everybody, and
Mhm.
some of the guys that I know that aren't entrepreneurs, that make the most money, they didn't go to college. They're skilled tradesmen,
Mhm.
and society is telling us everybody has to go to school. Everybody has to go through that college system, and the people that believe that and they don't explore their true purpose, either during, uh, either before, during, or after that process, and they're wondering why they can't find a job, or why they're serving Starbucks, with the college, with the degree in Chicano studies, um, because there's no teaching jobs for what they decided to major in at the time, and they don't know, or they weren't told they can do anything else. Um, I mean, to me, that's being done by design, because they don't want people like living out to their full potential and bringing their full skill set, like, to society, because we will never fit into let's say, the quote unquote European lifestyle, the haves and the have nots. Because the weird part about this country is that what does that create? It creates a middle class. It creates people with everyday buying power, that have enough to own a home, that have enough to actually have stuff and not necessarily go through that system,
Mm,
you know? And it's sad to say, but I mean, I don't care how you slice it, like it just boils down to a socialistic mindset. It's like, oh, everybody's the same except for the people in charge because, I have special responsibilities, therefore I need special privileges.
mm.
And that's not the way we are meant to live as humans. Everybody has something to offer the society, no matter what it is.
So okay, so then my question is with all of that, with what you just said right now, is why want to why want to stop people from reaching their full potential?
Because people that aren't living, quote unquote, their best life are easier to control.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what it has all come down to.
Because at the end of the day, like, they want society at large to be batteries, just like the Matrix, dude. They want to use you for the purpose that they see fit, to push their agenda and to enrich themselves or to maintain power or whatever it is. It's like, I'll give you a perfect example. Like, look at the whole, we're in the second week of June, right? So look at the whole Target debacle. We won't even talk about Bud Light 'cause that's just funny, but the whole Target debacle. You know, you don't sink a company like Target. You don't cause freaking almost double digit $1 billion losses like that without bipartisan support. Everybody says, "Oh, that's a conservative protest." No, it's a buying power protest. People on the left, people in the middle, and people on the right said, "We don't want that.
Right.
We don't want that. We don't want to deal with that." And the people that really made the difference are the people that just, they don't want to be bothered with that. They don't want it pushed down their throats, and they don't they don't want to deal with that. They don't want to have to deal with that. They don't want to have to explain it to their kids. They don't want their kids to have to, like, it to be all in their face like that. Yes, it's live and let live, but at the end of the day too, maybe, you're not ready to have those conversations with your kids. Maybe you don't want, because when it all goes back to, if you're trying to push that sort of thing, and let's just be real, regardless of my biblical beliefs, it's unnatural from a genetic standpoint. To the whole LGBTQ thing, it's unnatural from a genetic standpoint. To have to explain that to your prepubescent kid that doesn't understand what's going on, that's 6 years old, you know, why do you have to explain that to them?
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, hey, that's not, I'll explain it to you when you're ready, and that's the conversation for later. But I'm just telling you that that's not natural.
Mm-hmm.
Two men can't make a baby, and two women can't make a baby for a reason.
Like with me, like hey man, to each their own. I don't care what who you like or who you want to be with, or I don't care about that. But when anybody is trying to force me to accept, I don't. It's weird, dude. Like I accept it. I'm cool with it. I have no problem with it. But don't force it down my throat.
Yeah, anything,
Anything, dog,
anything,
anything. Because then I'm like,
anything.
hey, what the fuck are you trying to do?
Yeah,
What the I smell bullshit right away. Like, wait, what the fuck are you trying to do? Why are you pushing this so much on me?
yeah.
Or just on whatever,
If
on
it's a good
anything, right?
idea, it'll happen
Yeah,
organically.
exactly. And maybe maybe it'd be more successful if they didn't. You know what I mean? Anything, dog. Anything like.
Passively. Well, they tried that and they got immediate pushback. So this is just another way to subvert things to, because let's be honest, if you feel the need to groom and brainwash children at such a young age, your idea sucks.
Like with what's going on at schools,
Yep.
right?
Yep. they're trying to condition kids and parents to accept something that it's already proven that, 98% of society doesn't agree with. It's not necessarily they're going to act on it, but they're just like, that's cool. If that's your jam, then live your best life. It's just not for me.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not acceptable to them. But there, a lot of people also think that, as far as that goes, that it's for rights or they're being persecuted. Nobody's persecuting that demographic of people. They're not. If that was the case, we would be like the Middle East, or we'd be like Cuba, or
You're
we'd
right,
be
dude.
they'd be getting thrown off the rooftops, off the
Remember
Transamerica
those
building.
videos? Remember those
Yeah,
videos, man? That was those
off
like
the
in Iraq,
Transamerica
and
building in
that's crazy,
downtown.
man.
That's not happening. It
Yeah.
hasn't happened,
Yeah.
but if your idea sucks so bad that you have to brainwash kids and their parents and force them, if you want a public education, you have to accept this. That right away should tell you it's a bad idea.
Dude,
You know?
that's huge right now
Yeah,
in our country, dude.
yeah.
It's huge, bro.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've ever read it, but if you read, I have, and I've read it. I've listened to it on audiobook 3 times, and I've read the physical book twice throughout my life, the Communist Manifesto.
I have not read that, but I've heard a
Yeah.
lot about it.
um, it lays out the blueprint right there. It
Mm.
says first you control education, then you control the means of media and production, then you control whatever society, world, whatever you want to, whatever you're trying to control. That's how you get it. But it starts out with education. Why
Dude,
education? But why education? Because you need 2 generations of followers
yeah.
to implement your idea by force when it's necessary.
Hey, this right here, dude. This conversation, dude, is it fucking trips me out because of, like you said, the Communist Manifesto, right?
Yeah.
It's being used right now to change our country, right?
Yep. To push the agenda that we were talking about earlier, that like only academia are the people that can make decisions for this country.
You see it,
Yep.
I see it. I know, I know
Tell one of those motherfuckers to change my tire. They can't.
the majority of people I know see it. So then how do we stop it?
Grassroots, just like Target, you just say no. Just say no. Like, there's people like me, there's people like you, more like me. Like, I don't care what anybody thinks about me in public. You can go on my Instagram and see exactly what I'm about. You know,
Yeah.
God, gun, country, family, and friends in that order. That and there's like that's just the way that I roll. And every man has a right to choose whatever he wants. But at the same time, it's being pushed in that system where they're trying to keep as many people as they can the same, and they're trying to make mediocrity a form of acceptance or tolerance, as
And being
opposed to,
normal.
yeah. And we're not. I'm sorry, this is a capitalistic society. It was built by blood. Yes, it was built by a bunch of dudes that liked their alcohol, they liked their guns. At the time, they were freaking racist too. They were the ones that said, we're not going to pay for your foreign wars, and go fuck yourself. Those are the founding people of this country. And every single immigrant that's came here supports that idea, or they wouldn't come here, in one way or another. And that, maybe not to that extreme, but they're leaving where they're at because they don't like it, because here is a land where you could be you, and the opportunity is limitless if you want to work hard.
Yeah, man.
And they're trying to change that because they're saying that people are getting left behind. Yeah, people are getting left behind. Who's leaving them behind? It's the very people that say that they're fighting for our rights. I mean, perfect example. Like, it's kind of going off on a little tangent here, but
Go for it.
perfect example, dude. Let's look at the African American community.
Mm.
Okay, during segregation and even after segregation, 74% of African American families had a nuclear home, mom and dad at home raising the kids. Okay, out of necessity because there was no government assistance, there was no nothing. They had to stay together, right? So segregation's abolished, mind you. What most people don't know is yes, Kennedy's the one that got rid of segregation with Martin Luther King. He proposed the bill, they drafted it, they put it together. But nobody knows this fact that it was a Republican Congress that voted to ratify and pass it.
Mm-hmm.
Every Democrat in Congress at that time voted against it. Same reason they fought in the Civil War to keep slavery in place.
Mm-hmm.
Same founders of the KKK, they're all Democrats.
Yeah.
You know, Slavery 2.0 was created by who? Democrats. What's that? That's welfare.
And that's what they're doing to us right now.
Oh yeah. So 100%, this is what happens. So we have a 74% nuclear family rate. Segregation's abolished. You know, the powers that be, the Democrats, say, how do we control this demographic of people? One, you know, they're a tight family unit. They're not going to get divorces. However it is by like we can go into that, but they breed faster than white people. You know, how are we going to like maintain control over these people? I'm the government and I'm here to help. They issue in welfare. Oh, guess what? You know, you don't have to work now. As long as you kick the husband out of the house, we'll help you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what happens within 10 years of the welfare state being perpetrated upon, you know, African American people? It goes, the nuclear family percentage of their racial demographic goes from 74% in this country to 14.
Wow.
And what do you think that does to their population? You remove the men from any society. What did the Huns do back in the day, or the Mongols? First thing they do is kill all the military age men, so they can do whatever they want and mold society how they want.
Mm-hmm.
This is no different. This is the same thing they've done, and look at what they've done to those people. The biggest travesty and the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest genocide ever committed in this country was towards African Americans by Democrats, and they've been doing it since day one,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still doing it now because they tell them, they set different rules for them, telling them that they're so weak that they need to have a different set of rules applied for them to succeed,
Mm-hmm.
instead of, hey, you know, we're going to incentivize you once you get here, we're going to help you in this way. No, they change the game completely for them. What do you think that does to a society over generations?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you have a different set of rules because of the color of your skin. Oh, because you're poor. Oh, because you're, you know, for whatever reason. Basically, you're indirectly telling them that they're less than a white dude, you know, which is the furthest thing from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But you're ingraining that in them over years. You know, you have 2 or 3 generations now of children growing up in fatherless homes. You know, what do you think that does to a society when you don't have a male role model? Who is the first person that taught you to be a man?
Dad.
Exactly. Me too. Same thing. And you remove that from society, you know, and the behavior perpetuates. They come around every 4 years. They tell them, we're going to give you some money in exchange for your votes, but you're going to stay right here. You don't have to work. You know what happens to the bear that starts living off of, you know, the food in the dumpster? Bear doesn't hunt
Forgets how
anymore.
to hunt.
Yep, forget to, it's the same thing. And the reason why I'm so passionate about what's going on right now is because I see it happening to my own people. They're rinsing and repeating the same cycle with the Latinos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why did my family prosper so fast? Why? Because they don't want to take shit from the government. First, because they want to get deported. They're like, fuck that. They
Yeah.
can't even know that I'm here.
Fly under the radar.
Yeah, I'm just gonna freaking stuff my money in. I'm not even gonna put it in the bank because they might, you know,
Dude, under their
there's just
bed, dog. Yeah,
exactly.
man.
But you know what happened? It was a catalyst to success in this country. You know, there's so many immigrant families that I know and friends that I have that their parents were freaking illegal. They came here and they graduated from college, dude. Their parents own a house. Like that happened like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason why African Americans shouldn't be exactly there, and the percentage shouldn't be just as high.
Mm-hmm.
So they see that, and they see that Latinos are going to be the biggest voting demographic. They're going to surpass pretty much everybody in this country in the next decade or two.
Mm-hmm.
How can we control them? Create this narrative of equity, create this narrative of, oh, like, if you go against this, then you're going against your own people.
Yeah.
Oh, don't be like that. Don't forget where you came from. I know where I came from. I know exactly where I came from. And
Mm-hmm.
if my grandmother was alive today, you know, and she saw everything that was going on, I know exactly how she would vote, and it wouldn't be how everyone would think
Yeah.
it was. But that they're with, COVID was kind of the kickoff, but they've been doing this for generations. It started when, I would say, right before Obama. There was a big push to make sure that they're culling the drive and the drive and the abilities of young Latino Americans to prosper in this country. Because, I mean, dude, from the guy that sells freaking corn on the street to the ice cream man at the park, bro, like, we're entrepreneurs by, like, that's just the way we came here. The guy selling oranges at the corner or flowers, like, we hustle, dude. We
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no other way to freaking survive here, like, because there was no government help. They wouldn't take government, and now they're saying, oh, dude, that's all we need to do is, like, to just tone you guys down some. Let's give you some government. Oh, there's not enough of you here. Let's get some of those real Latinos that come from failed communist states in South America. Let's let all them in to kind of like spread that idea that they're used to just living off the government from Venezuela, from Bolivia, from Colombia, from those places.
Mm-hmm.
They're used to their government having to give them stuff to survive. They're creating those people. It's not like, and even the Mexicanos that are coming here now, they're like, they expect shit from the government. First thing they do is sign up for welfare and all these government assistance programs and food stamps. And it's because it's there. The state's making it available. It's not like that wasn't available to our people when they came here. It just wasn't because they weren't citizens.
When did welfare? Do you know when welfare started?
With LBJ.
With LBJ. So now that
But and dude, I mean, like, I'm gonna shoot myself for nothing. I don't know if LBJ was a Democrat or Republican. I think he was a Republican, but the whole the
Lyndon
guy,
B. Johnson.
yeah, the whole guy who the team that orchestrated the welfare state, they're Democrats. And that's well known and researched, and they're the ones that put it together. And you look at LBJ's comments, he's like, he's all, these N words aren't gonna know what hit them. This is how we're gonna control
Fuck. So let me just do this math in my head. All right, I'm gonna do math in my head. Tell me if I got this right. So when our grandparents, our great grandparents, right, when they came here, there was no welfare. So they were put in a position to where they had to figure shit out.
them. Mm-hmm.
And now, well, after LBJ, he's the one that created welfare. I don't know what year that was, right? We don't know. Well, he made it easier to come. Okay, so if it wasn't that easy to come here, not so many people would want to come here,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so now that it's easy, it's easier to come here. That's why more people want to come here, right?
Well, that, and they're giving away free shit.
Right. The free shit. I'm
Yeah,
talking about like
yeah,
the free shit makes it easier,
yeah,
right?
and it's easier. They're basically letting people in, like, even though they say they're not. It's like super easy to get over here. Like, it's open borders basically, and anybody that says it's not, they're freaking lying.
Dude. Okay, I'm like, okay, so giving away free shit and people that is doing a lot of damage to people
Of course,
because you're making them lazy.
you're
You're
make
making humans lazy. You're going against their human nature, dude. We're not meant to get free shit. You know what I mean? Like we're meant to go out there hunt. We're
yeah.
meant to go out there and work for whatever it is that we want. And receiving things for free and making things easy is not satisfying our innate urge to work hard,
Yep.
because I think we all have that,
For sure.
right?
For sure. It's like the other thing that you said. What was it? That that progress is born from necessity.
Yeah,
When your back's against the
your back's
wall,
against the wall.
that's when you're gonna freaking
You figure shit out, dude.
yep,
Imagination, dude.
yep,
You start
have to,
figuring shit out.
have to, and they're taking that away. So like they're basically making generations upon generations of people that they're trying to do that to, and it's only a certain people.
Oh man, I
It's
just got
only
a crazy idea right
yeah,
now.
it's only a certain people.
Do you think that through if throughout enough time that that gene will be
100%. That's why they're
fucking
doing it.
xed out?
100%. That's why they're
So
doing
for
it.
future
Why if you
generations,
go to any ghetto right now in this country where there's where it's predominantly African American, okay, and I'm talking ghetto like bad projects are, you know, where people are living at or below the poverty line. You know, they're on government assistance. You go to any kid, or even kid in high school, you know, or any kid in elementary or junior high, and you say, hey, you ask them, what do you think you can do when you grow up? You know, when you become an adult, when you become a man. We'll talk about men because that's really like most most important thing as far as like because whether we want to like admit it or not, and I have daughters, like men are the ones predominantly that drive society forward. They're the ones that work. They're the ones that are in government for the most part. If you talk to those kids in those impoverished neighborhoods, what do you think you can do when you're an adult? Rapper,
sports.
athlete. Um, that would pretty much be it. Or they're modeling the behavior of of some dude slanging on the corner.
Dope.
That would be it. How fucking sad is that?
That's really fucked up.
You do the same thing to a Latino, okay? And I'm not even talking about. Let's talk about one that's just living poor. Like we know plenty of families, like 10 people living in a one-bedroom
Yeah,
apartment.
dog. Yeah.
What do you think you can be when you grow up? You know, they're not gonna say, "Oh, I'm gonna be a soccer star," or I'm gonna no. They'll give you like a list of 10 different things. They probably already have a hustle in their mind. Yeah, man. If shit gets rough, I'll do whatever just to freaking have a nice house or a nice this. I'll sell corn. I'll freaking slang flowers. I'll do whatever I have to do. I'll work 5 jobs if I have to. That's the mentality, and that's what they're trying to. That's the spirit they're trying to kill. That I believe, because I wasn't around during those times, but that I believe that probably the majority of Black America had. That they've killed that spirit for the most part in a large segment of their people, just
Damn,
by
dude.
doing by pacifying them with free food, basically. You
And
know,
and then it's an attack.
it's a rinse and repeat.
It's an attack from different fronts: television, school, government, learned behavior. It's just it's like a so many different angles are coming at you with the same idea, the same plan.
Hmm.
And unless somebody has a positive influence in their life who is strong enough to maneuver through everything and get the attention of a kid, they're fucking doomed.
Yep. Well, no,
That's
they're doomed in the first place because they removed the male role model from the family. And look at the divorce rate. Look at the divorce rate amongst our own people. You know, look at the divorce rate. Anybody in the society, even every single ethnicity in this country, it's up. It's up, and that's what they want. And not only that, let's call masculinity toxic now. Let's call thinking for yourself toxic now. That's wrong. Let's let the alphabet community be in charge of everything and make decisions who can't even make decisions whether they want to be a boy or a girl, because it's give them a chance, because that's the fair thing to do. This word of equity, this country was not created on equity. It's created on opportunity. Not
Mm.
everybody gets a chance. There's no such there's real no there's no real there's no such thing as participation medals in life. Either
And
you get it done or you don't.
equity goes against the laws of nature.
100%.
You see
That's
what I'm
why
saying?
like name where communism has like succeeded. You want to say like Cuba? I mean, I've been there. It's horrible, dude. It's horrible. People have electricity and running water twice a week. You want to say China? China's pseudo different animal. They're implementing capitalist way. They're letting their people think that they're capitalists when they're really not. When the state freaking puts their eye on you and you go against them, they crush you. It's like that, like an ant. That's what
How?
they do, like an ant. They just go. They go, yeah, it's a bad idea. Don't be thinking out of the
Yeah,
box.
you're doing too
Yep.
much. You're dead.
And anybody that succeeds in that society is somehow, some way connected with the government. They got to pay the toll, and they got to toe the line. Otherwise, they get disappeared. So like you know, it's getting that way here. Look at what just happened like this week with you know um, a former president getting indicted on some bullshit about the classified documents that he was carrying a box. Basically, is what it boils down to.
So
That's election interference.
that's the charges they're pushing.
That's yeah. I mean, amongst other things, they're saying it's basically what it is
This
if
is the documents he had at Mar-a-Lago, right?
yeah, yeah, if you break chain of custody stuff and that he was carrying it, and just there's a bunch of different counts on that indictment, but what it boils down to is um you know I kind of I briefly looked at it, and it's just if we judge every sitting president by that standard, all of them need to go to jail, then
Yeah,
including him.
yeah.
So but since it's him, you know they're deathly afraid of that.
Dude, I was watching this. There. I was watching an explanation of how Obama, Hillary, and Biden are, and they're just them three
Well,
are
yeah.
guilty of the same
Oh
thing.
yeah, but here's the other thing too. Okay, Biden had boxes and boxes of documents sitting at some freaking office in Chinatown, and in a garage where his son was living with freaking crack whores and stuff. Classified documents that were there that because you have presidential authority to declassify anything, right?
He wasn't even the president
He
though.
wasn't the president. The vice president does not have the authority to do that. So instantly, that should be go directly to jail.
Yeah,
But this in this country, if this does not stop, it'll be our undoing. Like I fear in my heart that we're watching the crumbling of America before our eyes because like this witch hunt that like okay, first they had the Steele dossier, the Russia hoax, then it was Ukraine. All of them have said to the public, the government's full of shit. They're just trying to freaking because he got off, and then what's worse is everything came out, and they try to sweep everything under the rug, but basically it came out that freaking Hillary paid the dude to write the freaking Steele dossier, and still nobody's gone to jail.
mm-hmm.
But because it's oh no, yeah, we couldn't get you on that fabricated shit, so we're gonna fabricate something else. It's like when they indicted Trump on the BS in New York. What happened? His poll numbers went up. I mean, that to me scares the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that scares me that people that if there's political persecution like that on either side, whether it's Democrat or Republican or independent, if there's political persecution like that going on, like that's going to cause a civil war in this
Hell
country.
yeah, that scares me too,
I
man.
think it definitely will. And people forget, everybody thinks that the last civil war we fought in this country was over freeing slaves. It was not. It was over an election.
I don't know that.
Yeah, it was over an election because one side said that someone else won because they didn't want Lincoln to get in because they knew he was going to free the slaves, and that's why we went to war.
Do you think that we're headed in that direction, dog?
I
Like
think ultimately, yeah.
that's the
But
climax?
I don't know because one thing I do know for sure, and I do not consider myself a Republican. I haven't for 8 years now. Um, One thing I know for sure is both sides of the establishment government are scared of people that love this country being in charge because there's pushes from all fronts um, for us to be married at the hip with Europe and have a global government.
Dude, we 1776 to get away from that
A
shit.
hundred percent, 100%,
And
hundred
now
percent.
the people who are in control are trying to get us back back with them, or trying to they're trying to put us back in the same situation that we left.
Haves and have-nots.
Yeah, why
That's
we
what they
left.
want. And look at what's happening.
Up here
Everything
and
that they
down
do.
here, no here.
No in the middle.
And this is us.
Yep.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. The UN, NATO,
Like the whole green agenda, like
the green
all of
agenda.
that, like you know, um,
But
it's coming from all fronts.
and the end game is what?
Is to suck this country dry and use us like an ATM and use us like you know what most people don't see is we have everything here. We have not unlimited, but we have some of the biggest natural gas supplies in the world, biggest oil supplies. Although it's not the sweet crude that exists in the Middle East, we have a lot of oil. We have the means of we invented the means of production. Okay, the assembly line. Um, we have the citizens to be able to do it. Okay, we're in a country from a strategic standpoint. We're surrounded by two oceans. Okay, like and on the top we have mountains surrounding us, and like it's a great place to be if you want to defend it.
Right.
We have lots of water. I mean, just and look at the like, man, I hate cussing a lot, but look at the motherfuckers that are trying to control us. They live they live in a area smaller than Texas that have no sovereign borders. Very few, like a good majority of them, have a piece of coastline, but they're not us, dude. They don't. We could put them in frickin' Texas. Those are the people that are trying to control this whole. If you just look at it from like a geographical standpoint, like they're trying to control this whole country. Get the fuck out of here.
Who's trying to control us?
Europe,
Europe.
Western Europe.
Dude, I'm gonna go to what is called the conspiracy right now. So, you know, the people that really, really run this world,
Mm-hmm.
right? They they used the United States as their war machine.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we went over to the Middle East and we did what we did in the Middle East, right?
Mm-hmm.
And supposedly, when they were done with us, when they were done with the United States, they were done using us and sucking us dry of everything that we had. They promised China to be the next world power, and it was going to start with Obama. It was going to be what is called the 16-year plan.
Yeah.
It was going to start with Obama and end with Hillary,
Mm-hmm.
and we were going to end up in some war, probably with China or North Korea, some type of war where we would lose. And when we lost, we would lose our constitution. And when we lost our constitution, we would therefore be free game, and we pretty much be ruled by whoever it is that we lost that war to, which was most likely, from what I remember, I think I'm I might be wrong, but it was China. But because China was promised to be the next world power, and that's just from the little the little part that I did read. There was more to it, but that was, if you want to go down that avenue, that there's just a few people who are running this world and have a have a plan for this world.
Yeah, I
So
agree. I
and
agree.
it's hard to say that it's a conspiracy when you see it unfolding right in front of you,
Hmm.
when you see it happening, and it's fucking. It could almost make you hopeless because you feel powerless against it because it's just in order to have this fucking force that has all this control and all this power, in order to stop this force, you need an extra force, something that that'll equal it to stop it, to meet it and to stop it from progressing. Who is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's gonna stop it from happening?
Right now, it's us, but they're. If you look at what's happening at
How
if you look at what's happening with society at large, they're doing everything they can.
to make us fight each other, right?
Not necessarily that too, divide and conquer,
Divide and conquer.
but they're essentially dumbing us down when it comes to being the frickin' being the people that will fight, being American and say fuck you. I don't think that's a good idea. There's nothing to talk about. Let's go scrap it out.
Mhm.
They're removing they're dumbing down all of that, and they're removing it from society in any way that they can to make us weak enough for the next subsequent generations where they can just walk in here without ever firing a shot,
Damn.
being vilify and demonize masculinity, remove God from every aspect of American society. It's woven into the Constitution, and that's a problem for them because communism, first and foremost, you can't. There's a reason you can't pray in public in China, and you can't have a Bible. Okay,
Mm.
because the government is the God. The government is the deity. The government is everything.
That's weren't they really smashing on Muslims in China?
Oh, the Uyghurs, yeah,
Right? They were
yeah,
smashing on
of
them
course, of
because they were trying to
course.
take that out of there.
Of course, because when there's a higher authority than the government, then it's governed by those principles. It's not.
Right.
It's the same, and that's what they're trying to get rid of here at every turn. Like I firmly believe that in the next decade, if things don't change, like they'll call the Bible hate speech.
Oh shit, it's going in that direction.
Yeah,
I think it is.
100%. You'll see like Fahrenheit 451. You'll see Bibles being burnt in mass in the middle of the street. Just I'm surprised it's not already happening as demonstrations. Maybe because they know that they'll piss
They're
off.
burning the flag, dude. They're gonna be burning the
No
Bible soon,
problem,
dog.
but don't you dare burn the freaking alphabet community flag.
You're fucking dead if you
Yeah,
do.
you're
Fucking cancel you out,
it's
dog.
hate speech. It's hate speech. No, it's a hate crime. I honestly think it's a hate crime if you do that. So like they're removing, everybody's the same, equity, participation medals. Oh, now the new one that I didn't even know because my daughter she just graduated from high school and we were like looking at that uh, for college and stuff. You know, even the Ivy League, they don't consider SAT scores anymore.
Dude,
Yeah,
I heard about that.
transcripts, are sometimes they don't even look at those. There's, and this is the Ivy League, but everywhere else, it's not really that. If you write a good essay, you could be a C student and not even take your SATs or achievement tests or
Mhm.
anything like that and get in, just based on you bullshitting on a. I mean, dude, maybe I could use Chat GPT to get into 12 different colleges. Write a good essay, but that's sad, bro. I mean that's what they're doing. They're basically making the standards so low that there's no standards at all. Now a woman can choose to be a man because they've already. Why is that on the rise? Because they're removing masculinity from every aspect of society. Like there was a statistic that I was sent. They're saying 80% of men are they spend time around women, whether it be their mom.
Mhm.
In education, 80% of the instructors are teachers. So 80% of their time are spent around women. We don't need less men and less male influence. We need more.
Mhm.
And for everybody, for male and female, because they're spending time mostly with females. So like, we need something to counterbalance that, you
dude.
know.
You were coming up with a list, right? Right now, you're coming up with a list, and you're um, and it was making a lot of sense. You said, oh, fuck, because we were talking about how they were. You said, wait, what did you say, dog? Hold on, man. Hold on. You talked about how equity, making everybody equal,
Hmm.
right? And therefore kind of taking out the drive to be successful, right? Taking out the like the only the strong survive type of mentality because hey, everybody's equal and you know you can't leave people behind. You gotta work. I get that, right?
Everybody's got to be the same.
Right, but you need people in society who are going to strive to be better,
Hmm.
right?
100%.
Um, giving away giving away stuff for free, resources for free. That also takes out the drive to want more.
Removing their will to succeed.
Removing the will to succeed, demasculinity. Um, it's like it's all leading us to becoming a weak society,
Hmm.
a society with no backbone, a society like you said, a
A
society
society of
easily
weak
conquered,
men. Yeah.
and also give them bread in sports so that
Yep.
they're not paying attention to what's really going on.
Yep. Well, I mean, like, look at the indictment they weighed down this week on Trump.
Mhm.
What happened behind that? You and I were talking.
That's right.
The DOJ said they're investigating. I mean, they're investigating Biden for the whole Ukraine scandal from Burisma, where he got $5 million. Not Didn't say from the big guy. It didn't say. It said it has his name on that $5 million that he got while he was an active politician. His name, not the big guy, not no. It says that he got it. It's like, dude, okay.
And so when this came
So
out,
when that came out, boom, indict.
yeah, look at this, not this.
And if you really look at the news cycle, there's probably one or two other things on top of that
Mhm.
that are up there to sweep that under the rug. It's like
Right.
what happened with the you and I had talked about that for months. What happened with the Durham report's going to come out, dude? Did you read any of that or see like it openly says right there that that they were colluding to freaking to falsely like slander a president, to
Hmm.
impeach him, to like all of these things. It was like it's right there, and Obama knew, and Biden knew, and Clinton knew, and they all knew that this was going down, and they did nothing.
And what did the media
Nobody's
do?
nobody's saying anything about it.
The
Nobody's saying
media
anything about
downplayed
it.
it. And that's like I was saying last night, that scares me. It scares me that the media has so much control over what information is given to the masses.
Yeah.
You
Even
only
if it's false now, they put it out there and they apologize later after the messaging has already like taken its toll.
people didn't even know that there was such thing as a Durham report.
Yeah.
People aren't even going to know that about the $5 million going to Joe Biden. People aren't going to know anything about that because no one's going to talk about it.
I talked to my uber liberal friend. I don't have that many, but he's one guy that I could talk to, that I do jiu-jitsu with, and we fish. And he's like, oh, his takeaway was, oh, well, is it him or is it his family member? They're investigating his family member. It's not him. And it's like, dude, they're investigating his family member, and his name is right there. His name's right there.
Because
You know?
what do they do? What is done is that the money is paid to family members
Yeah.
so that it's not under the
All of the
individual's name.
Yeah, all of and then how is it that a foreign entity is paying all these family members in the same family?
Right.
Like
It's fishy.
millions and millions of dollars.
It's fishy.
Yeah, million. When he said in public jokingly, I told them if they don't fire the prosecutor, they're not getting the money.
They don't put somebody solid there.
Son of a bitch. Before I got on the plane, they fired the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And guess what? They got the money. Come on, dude.
And I'm not just pissed off because it's, oh, he should be, there should be consequences for his actions. I'm not just saying that because it's Joe Biden or because it's a Democrat or because I'm not a
It's
Democrat or
anybody.
a Republican.
It's anybody.
If anybody fucks up and is guilty of quid pro quo, hey, motherfucker, you need to face the consequences. Just like with everything, there should not be rules for thee and not for me.
Exactly.
Everybody should face the consequences for the wrong that they fucking do, dog.
But
Because you know what, dog? If that person doesn't, then so many other people are gonna follow suit,
and
and
that's what's happening now.
it's
Look,
fucking bananas.
look at now. You have Joe Biden's DOJ weaponizing against his biggest political opponent, being weaponized against his biggest political opponent right now. Nobody's saying anything. Like, to me, that's more than any sort of, pipe dreams that people can talk about election interference, stolen ballots, you know, the
It's against the law, isn't
yeah,
it,
the whatchamacallit, the voting machine, like
dude?
any of that shit. Dude, you have a sitting president
Mhm.
that is basically pointing his appointed people in the DOJ towards his political rival. Dude, it's no different, it's no different than what happens in all these banana republics, dude. Look at what Castro did. Look at what all these other people did to get in power. What did the first thing they did? They killed their political rivals, or they put them in prison, or they threatened them, so they had to leave. This is no
Isn't
different. It's just being done in public.
don't people don't people run for president to avoid being prosecuted for shit?
Yeah,
Isn't there something that protects you? Like it protects you because you could
yeah.
always
We
say
went
that
through
it
that with
was.
Hillary. Remember?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah.
So that rule or that law is being broken right now with Trump, is it not? Because he's considered a political rival because he's already said he's going to run for president. A
There's no
standing
talk. There's no talk about that though.
the standing president is now, well, not necessarily a standing president, but
And
his
what
DOJ.
and what he's gonna say? Well, it's the DOJ. I have nothing to do with them. But the writing's on the wall. And that's honestly what scares me the most about the times that we're in, um, with civil war, because if you look at the poll numbers tell us that people don't care and they know it's bullshit. And if they prevent him from running, or you
What's going
know
to happen if that
or
happens?
he does run, because I honestly think if they do let him run, like, he'll win by a huge margin. um, if he does win, it'll be more of the same. And my firm belief, like I told you yesterday, I think they would assassinate him.
Surprised it hasn't happened yet.
I am too.
And because it hasn't happened yet, I question, I question, I question Trump. Because he how I ask myself, how was he allowed to become president, and how is he still alive if
I
he's
don't,
so much of a threat?
I don't think he, like, well, it's the same thing with, I'm sure you've seen Gladiator, right?
Yes,
They
kill his name,
have to kill his name first, and they haven't done that.
and that's what this is all. That's what this all is right now.
Yeah, and the thing with his last presidency in 2016, um, they never expected him to win.
How did he win?
Oh, dude, this joke of a man is gonna run against Hillary. Psh, we got it in the bag, and freaking, this is exactly what we want. All roads lead to her winning. They didn't count on him winning, and once he did, they attacked him. They attacked that man from day one.
Is it all a setup though? Is it all a show? How was he allowed to win? How was he allowed to
I
become
don't,
the
I
president?
don't think he
Is
was.
is the long run? Is it going to be even worse for us? Are we being set up to follow him, and then he's going to be the nail in the casket for us,
I
for
mean,
America?
like create the ultimate division here.
Not necessarily, yeah, create the ultimate division that's going to lead to fucking an explosion, civil war, dog, or the
Well,
downfall of our country.
to me, I
I
mean,
think either way you look at it, we're headed in that direction. If he wins,
yeah.
we're fucked. If he loses, we're fucked.
Well, the only reason why people still support him is because in my opinion, he stands for like the ideals of what it is to be American still, you know, not giving a fuck, you know, America first, all of those things. And there's a huge contingent of people that support that. And dude, he's rubbed so many people the wrong way with his mouth and the bullshit that he says. I'll be the first to say that. But at the same time, it's like nothing causes uh, support swaying your way like fucking suffering. And you can't tell me that like when I have this conversation, and trust me, dude, I'm not you know I'm not a total freaking MAGA ass licker. Anything he does is like correct. I'm on the side of America. Whoever's good
Yeah,
for
me too.
America, that's what I want. The real America,
Yeah.
where we're freaking don't fuck with us and everything will be cool.
I'm
You
on the
know?
side of the world.
Yep.
And the way that you said, you talked about our country being the greatest country ever to have existed, right? Because of all the resources that we have here. And I like Donald Trump's idea of America first
Yep.
and trying to build America up. And like I said earlier, you cannot give from an empty cup. And I'm down to help the world out. I'm down to help
We're
everybody
the
out.
shining house on the hill, man.
But before we're able to do that, we need to make sure that we're good here at home first. If we're good in here, if we're good here in America and we are striving towards reaching our full potential and we're fucking thriving, the world will thrive, dude. I really believe
100%.
the world will thrive if America thrives.
100%. But we're also standing in the gap of so much evil being perpetuated on the world, and like you know my pastor, shout out to Pastor Jack at Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills. He said that there's no talk, and there's no talk of America in the Bible, so this place is going to fall at some point
Hmm.
before the end, before God comes back.
That's fucking wild, dude.
Yeah, there's no writing about America. It's just Israel. That's it.
I've never thought about that.
And then think about this.
I never knew that.
Trump is the only president to recognize Israel as their own state, as their own sovereign nation.
You're right. What was that called? The Israel Accord, right? Is
Yeah.
that what that was?
The Abraham
The
Accords.
Abraham Accords.
Yeah. And he's also the only guy to broker peace in the Middle East. Nobody talks about that either. You'd think he'd get a Nobel Peace Prize for that.
I, he's the only president.
We didn't start any new wars under.
Exactly.
We ended wars
How's he so much of a bad person?
because there's the military industrial complex. You have so many people like what I just showed you earlier, all those politicians. How do you think they enrich themselves? How do you think you go from getting into politics, making 184,000 a year as your salary, and within less than 2 decades, you're now worth 150 million.
You're getting rich.
Like there's people that have become millionaires just based off of Nancy Pelosi stock picks, but that's okay, right? No insider trading for her. Using stuff that she sees behind the scenes to enrich herself. I mean, that's okay. It's perks of the job. I mean, yeah. I mean, the hypocrisy just goes so. And the one thing is, and the one reason why I think they're so scared of Trump and why he was able to do so much in such a short period of time was because um, he approached things like a businessman, and he approached things without emotion. Said, "Dude, that's not right. That sucks for America. Get the fuck out of here. China, you're gonna have to break bread. We're living off of you. You're doing this, and you're freaking selling us. We're buying 78% of your GDP. and you're manipulating your currency. So basically, every one of our dollars is worth 15 of yours. So you're selling us back our own stuff with the money we already gave you. Nah, go fuck yourselves. You're gonna have to pay the tariff. You're gonna have to pay taxes
Mm-hmm.
before the first payment's made. COVID.
Fuck. Do you remember when he was at the table with other NATO leaders and he started calling them out on how they're not paying their share
Yeah.
and how America was picking up the slack for them?
He
And,
threatened to close the base in Germany and said, "Good luck. You go deal with Russia on your own. Then, if you're not going to pay,
right.
they paid the money."
And that was the America first mentality.
100%. 100%.
I just hope that it is all one big game.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hope that we're not getting led in a direction that is going to be worst off. You're giving these. I just hope we're given two options, right? And I just hope that the option that the majority is going to choose, Trump, is not the wrong one. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
But like how I said, I think we're going to be fucked either way. If he wins or if he loses.
yeah. At least the whole thing is the reason why I hope he does win is one because it at least puts a finger in the face of all those people that are trying to push a global agenda, remove God from society, and and run America last agenda. It's at least it's not gonna it's not gonna stop it. It's gonna at least give us some time to regroup, and hopefully that'll build momentum, and it'll put all those people on notice that America, the way it was founded and the way it existed until now, is still very much alive, and they can't freaking we're not North Korea, we're not China, and we're not Cuba, you know. And people need to grab their balls and they need to freaking embrace that, instead of worrying about who they're gonna offend. Like, dude,
Because that's fucking life. That's nature. It's
that's the way it
natural.
is. That's the way it is.
And the further that we separate ourselves from what's natural, the worse we're gonna be.
Yep.
Hey, dude, let's wrap it up. Tell me again what it is that you stand for. You say God.
God, guns, country, friends, family, and friends.
Boom. I love you, dog. Love you, dog. Give me a hug. Give me how it goes. Love you, dog. Thank you.
Love you too, man.
All right.
That was good.
Yeah, it was good.